The games begin for G2 versus MiBR, and already they've been up to some wicked tricks. They get themselves 1-1 so far here after Tyloo and Mouse Sports for MiBR. We saw Complexity and Hellraisers with a win apiece, and of course a loss as well. They find themselves 1-1. One of these teams will be staring down the barrel of that 2-loss column, which is, of course, margin for error completely nullified. You've got to be careful, and every single round, every single map counts. This is the major after all. But now we have an intriguing and delightful prospect. Will G2 continue to impress? I do have Chad Birchall and we have Mr. Bjorn joining us, of course, otherwise known as Threat. And we've got a match that I want to feel like is a clear cut, and we're going to find ourselves explaining why. But I also expect some G2 flair, Chad. I mean, they are. Tell me why. Tell me why that sound came out your mouth.
Because it just has to be Kenny S and Shox getting it done, right? When you look at some of the maps for this G2 team, there isn't really a huge amount of data on them at this point. We don't know what's really in store. When we did see them on Dust 2 earlier in the tournament, cool, they used a cool one-way smoke. But that's done now. You can't use that again. It needs to be the star performance from Shox and Kenny S lighting up the scoreboard if they want to have any chance in this matchup. There's no reason to doubt them showing up here, but is it enough to beat a team like MiBR with coldzera, with Fur, with Fallen, and then you had Stewie, then you had Tarek? All 5 of those players, pound for pound, are better than 50% of this G2 team. And
this G2 team is where we go first. Yes, Kenny, Body, Shox, Smiths, and Existence. They brought back a retro in-game leader. They said they need to be controlled. Kenny said he needs structure, and I'm sure Existence has given it to him.
And I'm not really impressed by G2 this tournament thus far. They had that really shaky Dust 2 game versus Hellraisers in the first one, and then yesterday they lost to Complexity, and they kind of just fell flat in that one. The only reason they stayed alive was that insane clutch from Shox that 1v4, but they need to show more if they're going to win today.
It was a god-tier clutch, and it was, of course, it was something that only Shox can do. Kenny needs to be pulling his weight as well, though. We haven't seen any of those Kenny-esque moments in quite some time, to the point where, you know, when we're typically comparing good AWPers and we find ourselves listing them, Kenny hasn't been at the tip of my tongue for a while, and I can't help but feel that's something that G2 need to have as a win condition.
And that's at no fault of his own. When they were in the rosters where it was, you know, happy in-game leading, when you had MBK in-game leading, you know, when this was kind of the makeup of the squad, the preference wasn't to get the AWP in the hands of one of the best AWPers in the world. It was to just have these weird buy situations and have these scenarios going on where he wasn't being elevated to a star position. So I'm kind of painting it as a negative, but we can also paint it as a positive, that the structure of this team, Existence, Smiths, and Body, the 3 members you can see right there, are to elevate Kenny S and Shox and give them all the tools and resources to make their life as easy as possible. Now that works. We've seen it work with Hellraisers. Issa and Voxic get that treatment over there. The question is, has enough work been done? Are they currently playing, and is Existence back to current meta to, you know, put them in the right positions?
And it's also getting harder and harder for operators to play that aggressive style. In 2015, we could see JW just going for repick after repick. Today, not so much. If you look at the past 6 months, I don't think we've really seen any aggressive opera be real successful.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm very intrigued to know what Existence is saying in that circle. Not my French nor my ears are good enough to be able to hear it over there, but I am very intrigued to know just what knowledge is imparted during those meetings. I'll ask you in a moment, Threat, because right now we're talking about MiBR, their opponents. It is, of course, those Portuguese-speaking, those Brazilian kings of Counter-Strike, Fallen, Fur, and coldzera, combined with some American flair, none other than Stewie 2K and Tarek, rounding out this roster in a roster change that not many saw coming, however, does seem to be finding its feet here in London.
And this is a team in 2018 that's broken my heart many times. It kind of looks like they're coming back into it, especially, I'm talking about the Tyloo game earlier this tournament. I think they were up 10-1 as CT. People were tweeting, oh, Fallen is back.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they just fall flat. So I'm not getting my hopes up yet for this team, but I think they will be successful in this one.
And I am on the other side of that coin. I think that was a blip on the radar, that Tyloo game. I think that was just the nerves, just, you know, them not playing to their full potential, because what I heard coming out of their mouths with their communication yesterday, the style of Counter-Strike that they have played for 3 out of the 4 halves so far in this tournament, and the preparation that these guys and the mentality that these guys are now bringing to this squad has given me hope that they're back and at least on trajectory to make it to the top 8. I'm going to go as far as saying these guys are going to go 3-1 after that original Tyloo loss.
Okay.
And here they shouldn't have any difficulties at all taking on this G2 team.
Historically, of course, rosters and organization things have changed, but the SK now MIBR core versus the G2 core that still is stepping into the server, they are incredibly head-to-head. Like, you go back, they've played so many games of Counter-Strike against one another to the point where it's like, it's deadlocked. I think it's 16-14 historically with a maximum 3 players. That shows just how much Counter-Strike these guys have played against one another.
Yeah, well, look, you know, both teams have had the cores playing in the upper echelons of Counter-Strike for a very long time now, but for more of a consistent period, the Brazilians have stayed towards the top. Now, the reason that we've touted these guys as one of the best teams of all time in CSGO is because of their approach to the game, that ability to play off each other fantastically in the mid-round, and their drive and their passion. You know, these guys started sleeping on the floor of a kitchen on mattresses when they first went to North America, right? Now they're elevated to one of the best teams in the world. Adding in Stewie and Tarek, they have a lot more skill per capita. The problem that obviously was early, the communication, those issues I think have definitely been worked out. The problem now, I think, is them stabilizing and finding their map pool, because the ability and skill ceiling is there.
And we've barely mentioned Janko getting into the team as well. That's something that we saw in the beginning. It made some changes, but I'm not really that impressed yet. We haven't seen that big of a change.
Shift. Yeah. I mean, you say that there has been clearly outside of game, he's been doing a lot. I think Fallen gave a really insightful interview just talking about him being someone to grab them by the ear. And there was this kind of, when you play Counter-Strike for so long, you are this brotherhood, this friendship group where saying things like that doesn't always falls on deaf ears.
Well, this is the most important thing of coaches in Counter-Strike, in my opinion. When I was in-game leading, I had to be the bad guy and the good guy. I had to say, hey, that was good, but, you know, that sucked. Now that you have a coach, the coach can sit there and slap you in the back of the head and say that was a bad decision, and it's not coming from your in-game leader, one of your teammates who also can be criticized for making mistakes. So I'm curious, Threat, were you the bad guy when you were coaching NIP?
I think I should have been more of a bad guy when I coached NIP.
Aha, you became one of the brothers.
Yeah, and it's a problem in CS in general that the players have too much say, I think.
100%.
So as a coach, you kind of have to, especially because I knew Get Right in Forest for so many years. It becomes really difficult to all of a sudden be sort of like their boss.
Yes.
It's just really awkward.
Yeah, it can be so interesting, just the inner workings of a team that, you know, as we reach more and bigger prize pools and more competition, and the pride and prestige, of course, does start to wear off for some of the old guard. And indeed, we have two of the legends right here, right now. Shox and coldzera, both at times have been referred to as the one of, if not the best player in the game. And now they go head-to-head in the server for survival.
Yeah, Shox has definitely fallen outside of that, you know, mantle of top or best player in the world for some time now. He had surgery recently, so there's issues there. And the French scene has been in a bit of disarray over maybe the last 12 to 18 months. So for them to find their feet and have a strong in-game leader come back in, this could be the change for Shox and Kenny to be elevated once more to a top squad. But here, it's just a tall task. I think MiBR have got them covered.
Yeah, I even heard a fantastic, of course, they did their veto in that server. They already got it locked in, and I just heard the boys from MiBR saying, we knew it was coming. And I'm very intrigued to know what it would be. I'm crossing my fingers for a Dust 2. Is that possible?
I hope it is. It would be great to see this team go up against each other. I mean, we saw that Gandalf one-way smoke you talked about earlier, and I hope that Existence has something more to show.
I don't think Made in Brazil will risk it. I think they're probably... it's probably going to be either Cache or Inferno.
Okay.
I think that's probably... Look, Nuke is the third. If we had... sorry, not Nuke. So Dust 2 is the third. If we had to pick 3 maps, they would be the 3 that I consider this one ending up. Okay, so even though they looked fantastic on it yesterday, they don't want to take the risk. Maybe they don't want to have to deal with any other tricks that Existence has in place. They also had to expend a lot of strategies yesterday because of all the save rounds that Mousesports were putting in. And Overpass going, that used to be such a favorable map for them, but one that appears to have dropped off. So it will be Inferno or Cache.
We should see Inferno.
Yeah, G2 would play it safe, right? Their Cache game yesterday looked abysmal. They felt like they were all over the place. So Inferno here is also one of the shakier maps for Made in Brazil over time. When they were SK, it was something which they were really weak on. That B defense has chopped and changed a lot. Now that they have Stewie and Fallen over there, and the way that Fallen is now playing with the AWP, resurrected a bit of faith in me. The CT side, I'm not seeing the dramas. It's the T side that coldzera has to bail them out. So they must have put in a lot of work there.
Keep our eyes on the T side. That's where the faults may lie, and now Chad has his faith restored in the B defense on Inferno. And for G2, we haven't seen them play Inferno in quite some time. Of course, here in London, we've only seen Cache and Dust 2, but prior to that, I'm just looking through their recent results. It's some best of 3s versus some less notable teams.
They won against Wendigo,
and
right?
it was a Wendigo victory with a strong CT side. That's pretty much the most recent evidence that their opponents would have had.
And if MiBR decides to go for that very passive defensive B style they used to have on Inferno, I really hope that Existence has done his homework and he has a Molotov execute prepared.
Yeah, we'll look for the fires on the floor, and now indeed fires on the desk, gentlemen, because it is prediction time, and we have James and Dan hanging out with us to talk through this one. I'm loving, guys, did you communicate this? We're like, let's go for the blue and purple palette today.
Every so often we just take a risk and
we
don't talk, and they just stand up and go, oh, you haven't worn the same shirt today, that's great.
Synergy.
Because we pretty much shop in the same place.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah, all the athletic
You're
shirts.
like, are you wearing shirt 2 or shirt 3 today?
Yeah, it's pretty much how it goes on most days.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Thomas Pink shirts, they're great.
Oh, free
Good stuff.
promo.
Yeah.
I need some analysis, boys. I need a prediction.
I think MiBR all the way. I think they had obviously a slow start against Tyloo. We saw some flashes of greatness. I just don't see, from what we've seen from G2, it was a good performance, good start from them on Dust 2, but since then they've really fallen flat. Cash really turned me off. So I got to predict.
I picked MiBR as well.
You did?
Yeah.
Snappy. I like it. And that leaves us with our panel. Gentlemen, what are you saying?
There's no way MiBR haven't readdressed that T side and come up with a way to actually get banana control, so I'm going to put my faith in the Brazilian/Americans.
I think G2 do have a lot to prove to us, trying to convert us, and a win here, of course, would do that. Threat, what are you saying?
MiBR is going to be one-sided.
Oh man, it's going to be all MiBR then, because I'm jumping on that brigade as well. If anything, not just to see what Yanko, I don't want to see what Yanko would do if he lost this one. I want to, like, you know, chat to him, have a beer. I don't think I could. Should he concede this one. And now, we leave it with you. James and Dan going to be guiding you through Inferno.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Long gone are the days where Yanko's out with us in LA, barbecuing next to our pool during our ECS tenure in Los Angeles. Now he's at the back of the Brazilians and the North Americans. Hopefully he's still doing his barbecues though. He's good with a pound of meat. Sorry, I don't know. Talk.
You're laughing at your own jokes, Jay, before you even finish saying them.
I'm that funny, Dan. That's,
okay.
That's the thing, I'm really funny.
Wow. Okay, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I know that for MiBR, you know, they've only really been boot camping with Yanko for about a month, and obviously a month is not a very long time. I think 2-3 months is more what you're looking at to really integrate some new stuff. And I think that one of the great things with MiBR is that these are great players. These guys have all won majors. You know, there's not a lot of additional stuff from that sense you need to really add. I mean, Fallen was calling the shots by himself for a very long time.
We've got limited time. Upcomer app on the App Store, available in the various app stores in your various phones and things like that. Upcomer.com. iTunes, and what is the Android App Store called?
It's Google Play.
Okay, Google, that thing. All right, so 23% for G2. The French-speaking fan base has kind of abandoned the team, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if we're talking about fan bases here, it's MiBR obviously has an enormous fan base. I think there's a renewed hope in this lineup and what it can do at this major. And just going back to, or finishing off the point I was making, this team doesn't need a huge amount of new strategical and tactical direction. They all just need the experience playing together, and they just need some of those wins under their belt. And we're going to see them, I'm pretty sure, doing some heavy damage at this tournament. G2 will be one of those casualties, I'm fairly sure. We're about to find out as we kick things off. G2 on the T side, James.
Indeed they are. Tarek and Fur having a look at top mid on the around the A site, and there are 5 people coming their way. Now let's see what they choose to do. 5 Kevlar sets for G2, no P50s or anything like that. But they're not really looking for these long distance engagements. Tarek's off to a fantastic start with 2 headshots, looking for his third, but Existence will take him down from the back. Fur picked off in the pit. Now G2 have some position.
Yeah, Stevie's straight in there with the USP as well, so there is no space to really plant this bomb. The pressure continues. G2 are quite low on health as well. That bomb will end the stalemate perhaps, although the CTs will not push as they need to make sure that it wasn't a fake. Indeed it wasn't. Body 7 HP though. It's a good position to try to peek from, but 1 bullet and he is dead. Very, very, very difficult spot to expect much from him. And Fallen starts to add the pressure, moving in from the Arch side as well. But Body doing some damage again, just picking his moments. Existence has his back against the wall there on this bomb site, and it's all up to him. The in-game leader hasn't had the best individual performances. That's what we need to see from him in this matchup. He needs to do it. The Glock in a corner. How on earth do you pull yourself out of this situation? Well, he won't. Fallen ends it, and that will be the defuse for MiBR. Very close one, though.
Yeah, that was pretty close to going off. So he tried to buy some time, but of course he was stuck in a corner. No place to hide, really. Now, The last time we saw G2 play you and I, Dan, Existence didn't have the best performances, but the one prior to that, I think he did, if I remember correctly. So we need the right Existence to turn up today. I'm just going to pull up his stats, but here we are. MiBR now have won the CT pistol. Now we've seen a lot of CT dominant halves on Inferno this week, and I want to say that it's been a crutch for the weaker teams in the tournament. But what kind of scenario will we see between these two sides? They will write the pages of history as this match continues. coldzera holding an angle towards Boiler and top mid at the moment. Apart from that, MiBR are playing somewhat passive on the A side, ready to retreat and have the longer engagements versus the CZs of G2.
But I do like that they're pressuring Banana, going for those deep smokes. A lot of teams will be too passive in these rounds, and they'll give up too much information, and then you get 5 CZs just running at you, and it's very difficult to hold them off with all the speed that those pistols have. So MiBR, they do play passive on A, but they've got that info on Banana. So MiBR ready, poised on that A side of the map to make sure they can have a good defense. As Existence will check Banana once again to see what's going on there. Oh, I don't think Existence spotted the push. I think Fallen is going to be moving in completely. Oh, they're completely unaware here. Beautiful stuff. That's such an important kill on the flank. Will lighten the load here as Tarek holds down the pit position as well. Only for a time, but Body, he's not got any teammates to play off of. Surely he can't get much more from this.
Wow, that is quite the peak from Fer. He is a dab hand with the MP9, notorious on cash for it. And that is a very strong peak from him. 2-0 for MiBR. Now, we don't have the AKs out for G2 because of the investment in the previous round. Normally when you plant the bomb in the first round as a T side but lose the round, you eco and then you've got money for AKs in round number 3. G2 chose a different path and it didn't quite work out for them. And who knows if there will have been enough economical damage. There's 5 kills in total for G2 so far. Glocks for the most part in this round. For the mostly French side, Existence hails from Belgium. Home of Hergé, the man who invented Tintin.
So not too much really for GT to do here. They are waiting out these smokes. And Tarek is definitely going to disincentivize them from moving towards the apps. He gets shot in the head, but only did 5 damage through the wall there. Paper-thin walls, but PT50 is not going to do too much here, surely.
Oh, look out for those kind of plays from Fer. He's really good at spraying through from the balcony area and taking out people in the halls. Outstaying their welcome. You can shoot to the right-hand side of the bookshelf with an AWP from the bridge as well, and if you're lucky enough, you'll shoot someone in the head.
Ooh, that was almost a really perfect timing on the smoke. Obviously G2, they saw it coming and they were moving just as it was coming in so they could get ahead of it and not be blocked off by it. That said, they're rotating back out of it and they are really desperately trying to get or find a way to get some kind of economic damage in here. But MiBR just denying them. They've got so much utility left at the late round. And Fer, oh, he must be salivating here. So much money to be made with the MP9. And it will be taken away by Tarek and coldzera. And that brings a close, James, to some of the boring rounds. Now we get into the real Counter-Strike. What has Existence got prepared for Inferno against MiBR?
Yeah, the big sheets of paper. Existence, a master tactician. But can he keep them on their toes? Of course, MiBR will be looking to make it hard for Existence to counter-strike them as well. They'll be changing their CT setup round after round. So that's something to look out for. Fallen will move towards the B-bomb site with the AWP. And let's not forget, Stewie is pretty much a master of Inferno at this point, especially Banana on both sides of the map. Plenty of famous plays at the Boston Major for you to look at. So it will be Fallen and Stewie towards the B-bomb site. That is quite a predicament. Do you go towards Fallen and Stewie, or do you go towards Fer, Tarek, and coldzera?
Yeah, I'm really curious how the map control work for G2 because MiBR are doing so far a great job in just preparing for Banana, keeping pressure on that position, getting information from it. And you can see this round, they have no challenger. They can leave Fallen and cheat a player over towards A. So they have 4 players ready to fortify this A bomb site defense. And G2, are they going to just walk into that? Because unless they flash Fallen off of Banana and push him back, well, MiBR can just keep 4 players indefinitely on this A side of the map.
3 players with flashbangs for G2. Smiths is not one of them. He's the person at the bottom of Banana, just waiting for a CT push at the moment. 4 players for MiBR, still towards this A bomb site. Look at this push for CTs as well. Took a while for both those players to see each other, it seems. Maybe they're looking at the radar or something, but Shox is taken out. What is the reaction from G2 for? They won't expect him here because he hasn't gone for a trade frag. But as you can see, Body still wandering, and he does check it at least, but the Fer gets the frag. Now we've got 25 seconds, and Existence is going for the wrap.
This is really interesting. Fallen actually missing the flick shot there, but Existence is the main player to stop, because if he goes down there with the bomb, I don't know if there's time to collect it. Fallen has to go back to Banana. He'll whip another shot there, baited out by Smiths, and that's a 2v3 retake. I did not expect the round to end like this, but still, there is a chance for MiBR to make the retake work. Flash comes over, Tarek gets the first kill. 2 versus 2, but the AWP could be a very big problem. KennyS is holding on to that. He's rotating around construction. Now he's alone, a big job to do. But we know him to be the man to make the plays with this AWP as he pushes forwards. Which way does he look? The timing is good for Kenny. That's 1. 1 more to go. It's cold. That is some classic KennyS maneuvers right there with the AWP to save the day. But James, MiBR, they were in a better position for the majority of the round.
Yes, that will be frustrating. And some of you may wonder why Existence went behind the wall and re-peeked immediately, probably expecting the CTs to no longer focus on him because he doesn't have to peek there. And I think he's reading that they will look for his teammate, Kenny. But unfortunately, they were still focusing on his angle. But as soon as Kenny gets that first frag, he's in such a strong position, ready for the re-peek as well. And we have a tactical timeout from G2. Okay, what information do we have from that round? Again, they were up against it, G2, for the longest time. They didn't really push the CTs away at any point mid to late round on Banana. Fallen was there the entire time. Smith was at the bottom. Didn't even have a flash to push Fallen off of his angle. But they managed to take that late round decision, wrap towards the B bomb site. So key that Existence had a flash to take Fallen off the angle. Although I'm sure they could assume that he would be there with an AWP somewhere. Very precarious situation for G2 there, but they get their first round on the board, and that gives MiBR problems immediately. We've got Fallen pulling out the UMP now, and Cold0 will have the 1 AWP towards the A bomb site.
Yeah, it was a really interesting push on the apps, timing-wise, from MiBR. I'm very curious if we'll have more of that, because that would be fairly innovative. But once again, we see this Banana pressure coming in from MiBR, taking that position away and quickly leading Mr. Fallen all the way back towards that A bomb site. Actually, no, he's coming back towards B. I thought he was going for the full rotation there. Okay, they've left Fallen, and Stewie will rotate. So indeed, they will have the 1-4 setup. But G2, they've not really taken... Well, they haven't made much pressure on the map just yet. They've not pressured Banana. They haven't taken top mid. They're only just now taking apartments. So they have a very slow timing across this default. And Kenny, he is dangerous.
That is such a wild peak with an AWP, because you're coming out facing this position. Also somebody standing behind the pillar, or could be on the left or the right of the pillar. Only somebody with the skill of KennyS dare make a peak like that. Now we've got 3 players focusing on the arc position. I think Stewie hears something. He's falling back, but Tarek has been taken out. Now we see Stewie trading 1, trade second one though. Stops Existence from going past with the bomb. Doesn't want to get caught there. Rotating towards short where Kenny and Shox are. In the meantime, first taken out in a trade. Stewie still by the library, but Cold is on the site. There's a pick from him. And now there's another one for him. Running distraction with his teammates, and Existence is suddenly alone. Another kill for Cold0. 3 for him in that round. Only 2 players taken out, and G2 get reset without a plant.
That was very calm from Cold, wasn't it? There's many players, I think, that start to get panicked in that position, but even though he missed an important shot and his teammate died, still held his ground, still made the right plays. His teammates came in to create distraction for him to capitalize upon, and then finishing off the rounds. Glorious stuff there from Cold0, and G2 will indeed be without much cash here. So MiBR, they're going to be in a position where they can build some money, James.
We spoke earlier about the CTs having to change their setup. I think it's good that if there's 1 AWP on the server, it doesn't have to be in the hands of Fallen, because that does kind of telegraph what the part of the setup is for your team. So Cold0 being on the AWP, I think, is awesome. Keeps your opponent guessing. But now they have 2 of them, of course, Fallen and Cold0. And they're both towards the A bomb sites, which is going to be a nasty surprise. or has the potential to be. Pistols for G2. They've got some flashbangs. Maybe they can take cold off of this angle. Seems G2 have an idea of what might be going on here with the HE in the apartment. Fer looking away for a potential flash. Spots the bomb immediately. And has a really easy time of things as the T's jump through that smoke. This may be a low impact round for G2. On the wrong side of the bomb site now. Close range though is Kenny. So maybe something can be done here. Running low on bullets. Looking for the gun. Can't quite reach it. Now Shox is alone. 1 versus 4. Fallen just baiting him as the rotation comes in from the CTs. Going around the box. Moving towards the rifle, but no rifle for Shox.
And one of the interesting things is that G2, I do really wonder with this team if they'll favor when they play CT side that double AWP setup. That was really famous when we had the previous iteration of G2, seeing Shox and Kenny on the double AWPs. And we can see MiBR actually going for that here with Fallen and Coldzera playing double AWP. And we saw also on the desk, Threat was mentioning he wanted to see some Molotov set pieces from G2, and that can be a great way to deal with these AWPs, but you have to be able to take map control, and if you can't take map control, you can't have a position to run a set piece from, so a lot of obstacles here from for G2 to overcome, because MiBR, they have been pressuring Banana really hard. It's a fight if you want to take it.
For those of you on GoTV or Twitch Premium Pass, twitch.faceitmajor.com/premium pass, who would you pick, Dan?
To watch, to learn from.
Who would you pick for whatever reason you choose?
I think in this matchup, I think it would be quite interesting to pick Stewie, just because Stewie's very dynamic, very fast with the AK, and as James mentioned, his plays around Banana are always really interesting. He plays at the fastest pace than pretty much anyone else.
For me, I haven't decided yet. I'm not sure.
That's great, James.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't say Kenny because I don't really think you can emulate what Kenny is doing, especially with the way he picks Boiler like that. It's just wild. If you want to see some wild stuff, then pick Kenny S. But I'm still mulling over. I think Shox on the T side because he has to get something done. As the desk alluded to, he's got to be like the guy for G2. I think it's fair to say. Fallen spotting a player, trying to fall back, but he has a nice gap between the Molotov and the smoke grenade. It'll catch Kenny off guard. Very smart player is Fallen.
Yeah,
Mind always worrying.
I was about to say that. One of the things G2 have to do in this round is they can't allow MiBR to just think that they can have Banana every round for limited utility. So it was really important that they pushed, but that shot from Fallen, James, that was really nice. That's really such a tight shot.
I think a lot of people would just back off immediately and be like, I'm out of here. But Fallen's like, this is an opportunity. I do not expect... His readers, they're not going through. So he is safer than other people may think. Especially for those of you on GoTV, I'd say Fallen. I think the way they're playing at the moment on the B bomb site, Stewie is basically playing rifle support to the AWP. If Fallen goes down, then switching to Stewie would be very interesting. But for now, my pick will be Fallen.
And unfortunately for G2, they don't have Molotovs here, so it's going to be difficult to deal with some of these positions. Fallen now has to just play the shooting range game. He's got that rifle support indeed if they get too close, and they are being beasted, G2. Not too much they can do on the entry. Without those extra bits of utility, Molotovs to throw in and maybe additional flashbangs and smokes, you can see that just the quality of Fallen and Stewie is too much to overcome. At least with so much information already in the round. MiBR knew this was coming as well. And so far, we're seeing MiBR just playing a pretty damn perfect CT side.
Sniping around those pillars is pretty awesome because it gives you so much cover because you're standing right behind it. It gives you so much cover from flashbangs going in. I think it's something to look at because you saw flashbangs going off, but he wasn't even remotely blind. Fallen, Coldzera taken out early on, but I do think that's something for analysts to look at. Analysts and teams, that is. Where exactly do these flashbangs need to go if there is a sniper around that pillar? Because again, we saw it in the Major as well. It's so strong for a CT.
Looks like Stu will be holding on to top mid here for his team. No guns to be collected for you, Smith. And Body, the last man left. Oh, actually, I think Kosu with a gun in his hand, but he'll be finished off as well. And the cool thing as well there, you know, we benefit from our observer Sliggy at this tournament. We saw the flash setup for the second mid peak from the CT. It's a good thing to note. Some
Connor
of these
Blofeld.
Yeah, and that's something that we'll see a lot with his observing. Is you get to see more of the nade setups and how teammates play off of one another, which is really important in Counter-Strike, of course.
I would like to add, his name's actually Blomfeld, by the way, but I'm going to call him Blofeld now. Very quickly, when you see Molotov executes into the B bomb site, they're more focused on new blocks, first oranges, second oranges, but not necessarily towards that pillar where the snipers are. I don't know if there's a reason for that, if it's hard to get it over there, because it has to bounce off the skybox in many cases. But it's such a big issue there. I do wonder if people look at that and how much of a priority it is. As you can see, coldzera is underneath the balcony, so Shox will not be able to see him. Now, Shox is pre-fired to his right-hand side where Tarek is. Normally, someone would be standing on the rail where Tarek is. He's on the low ground. Shox gets 1 kill out of that. Doesn't see coldzera in time. Probably looking towards Archer Library. So coldzera holds on to the real estate. Now we've got a Molotov going top mid, and Body and Kenyes were looking to capitalize on that frag. But coldzera has held on to A.
That's actually pretty awesome from Shox. You know, he makes a crazy solo play, gets a kill out of it. 4v4, minute left to play with on the T side. That's a pretty nice spot to be in. You can see the Ts are going to now pressure into Banana. Fallen missing the shot, very hard one to hit, of course, and he'll fall back safely with the flash into the pull position. And there's still plenty of time here for G2 to make something happen. You can see that Body is lurking around the arch position now, and Fallen is still alone with that AWP on the B bomb site. There are opportunities here for G2, but they have to start moving. 30 seconds left.
Stewie in CT, he's got one flash for his teammate, can flash into pool to try and slow down the push. There is the flashbang, and Fallen gets a free kill out of that, which makes it a 4 versus 3 on the retake attempt. Really important to cross those flashes. Another one bites the dust, and Stewie emerges from the smoke, as Stewie does. Now Body is known, and he's got 8 seconds to get 3 kills or hold on to his AK-47. He'll make it expensive for the CTs at the very least, and he needs to, because at 8-1 moving to 9, there is just too much money. Fur's going to start losing money by winning rounds.
You're right, they all have over 10k. That's actually insane. On the CT side of Inferno as well, it's one of the maps where there's such a huge cost. I'm actually going to see the second frag here. I think a flick through the smoke. This one here. That's that's so ridiculous. But yeah, oftentimes rounds will go so very late on Inferno, and so much utility is expended, and the CT utility is expensive. Those incendiaries are more costly than the Molotovs on the T side by an additional $200. $600 in total for the CTs. So it is really, really nice to have that much money and never have to worry about that. And can you imagine G2 in this position where they can't even get max utility in some of the rounds? So how do you win the utility war? Well, that's already an issue. You're getting out fragged as well. That's another issue. Map control is hard to take. Another issue. So there's just problems here for G2. I don't know where the solutions are coming in.
Big problems indeed. Looking at the kills, it is not pretty at all. Body has 7 kills. Beyond that, no one has more than 3. In 10 rounds of T-side Counter-Strike. We've got the burst. Body going up top mid with the AK. Not seeing much of anything yet. We've got Fer moving towards the library position. So G2, look where Shox is. G2 have a lot of map control. But Shox, Fer has a great angle. There's a team flashbang to allow him to get a free kill. Spots another player towards Arch as well. What do MiBR make of this?
That was a beautiful flashbang. Yeah, they've sort of repositioned the 4th player towards that A-bomb site for additional support. All very nice there. Some bullets through the smoke will yield a frag. Very fortunate here for G2. 4 versus 4, still a minute to play with. So that is a good chunk of time, but they've only got 2 smokes, a Molotov, and 2 flashes.
Very quickly, Smith's earlier on, I think he forced Fallen back away from the B-bomb site. So MiBR don't really know what's going on towards either site right now. It's guesswork.
And the French start to close in. Beautiful flashbang. Tarek can't convert, though, as he falls back into position. These crossfires are hard to deal with for G2. Stewie also... Oh, my God! They get absolutely demolished by Stewie 2K. coldzera in there as well. What can you do? You are just forced into horrible crossfires. Now Existence crawling around towards Archside. He'll be put out of his misery as MiBR go comfortably 10-1.
Double figures achieved. Yanko's loving that. He's really happy.
Happy chappy.
I haven't even seen him yet. I've just been busy in the back. You had you saw him the other day, yesterday?
Yeah, I only had time for very quick chat. He's been very focused and not often sort of in the more communal areas. So Yanko's a guy that has great work ethic, and he is absolutely putting in as much work as he possibly can. He's doing the best that he can for MiBR, and so far, as you say, he does have a lot of reasons to be happy right now.
Man like Janko Paunovic, I'll say his name properly for once, instead of the alter ego. Stewie moving down to the bottom of Banana. So again, a different setup from the CTs. Now, MiBR are a team who, unless you're an idiot, you know that they have needed time to develop, to figure things out and so on. They were always going to get better, and their short-term results once these roster changes were made were basically irrelevant. It was just study, pure study. Stewie with the continuation spray, Fallen will buy some time with the flashbang, but again, he will stand his ground, some pre-fire, and he will have to fall back. A second player has rotated in Fur. Now, Existence moving up. He'll drop the bomb. I was wondering about that. See what's going on. In the meantime, G2 trying to get something to work. But again, this is a less than ideal situation for the G2 side. Now we look at a 2 versus 4 situation where they just get picked off one leg at a time until they're crawling with bloody studs.
Yeah, and just great setups here from MiBR. Like, one thing that you saw there from Fallen, you know, I think, yeah, Stewie was in the corner by Logs. He has one kill. The continuation spray doesn't do quite what they want, and they have a 4v4. Now, Fallen could try to go for the confidence play. You know, they're playing a very dominating match. They've got momentum. He could go for a wide peek and try to get another kill. Now, he's smarter than that and realizes, you know, if he dies in that position, there is actually a round to win for G2. So, rather take the safer play, fall back. Even though it's a 4v4, he knows that they still have an advantage there. So, I like the discipline we're seeing from MiBR, is my points. And G2 still struggling to really accomplish anything here.
Banana in control of MiBR early. Now there are 3 players here for G2. I do wonder if we're going to see a burst through the smoke, but the grenades continue. The exchange continues on both sides. And here we go. Smith's making his way through the smoke. He's carrying the bomb as well. Not sure if that's on purpose. One must be careful, however. So there's a jump peek to bait the shot. No connection, I don't think, from Fallen. Stewie goes for it. Maybe trying to clean up another pre-fire. Fallen must be careful. He'll take a crouch, and grenades will be forced out, as well as a rotation. Now, Tarek has moved to Library, ready to make his way towards B. There are 2 smokes down on the B bomb site again. This is better from G2 because MiBR have no position. They've lost a man. They don't know what's going on top mid. They don't know what's going on towards the B bomb site. Cold Zero is playing in the site. If they cut noise, then it's just complete guesswork from MiBR. 2 players per site means we may see a 4 versus 2 here on the A sites.
Can MiBR still pull it off, though? There comes the information play, and for... I think they've worked out what's going on, although there is still that presence on Arch side, which Tarek is watching for. Is there a path here to the B bomb site, maybe on a split? Things get very weird here. We'll be moving into Cold Zero. He's in a very compromised position. Kenny S is looking for him, and the timing is not good for Cold Zero, and Kenny S will find the frag. Looks like this should be around now for G2, picking up the 4v2 after plant situation. MiBR, though, do have basically unlimited money, though, so yep, they can just try it for fun, if nothing else.
Yeah, they have very little to lose. Kenny already has an AWP. Buying another AWP is expensive, though. Fallen 2 rounds, and he'd have no money left, so he has a decision to make. But if there were some rifles, some M4s remaining, or AKs, then MiBR could really try to have G2 survive with less players. And I think Fallen, obviously, he needs to change his position in case he's hunted. Not that there's much point for G2. But if an opportunity presents itself, I'm sure he'll take a weapon away. And G2 will double their score from 1 to 2.
And one thing that I like there was that Stewie decided to go for an aggressive play. Because it failed, it can look kind of stupid, but Stewie is a player that really flourishes in an aggressive play style. And going for an info play here can be a really big deal. Maybe you'll catch people with their nades in their hands, and it's very disruptive if you even just get a kill there. So there's lots of pluses to it, and you have Fallen to hold the site and delay if you fail at your push. So, you know, every once in a while it will fail, but I think that it's very important to keep the other team on their toes with a player like Stewie, so always a danger.
3 CTs on the B-bomb site. Again, the smoke is down. G2 team interested in an earlier take of Banana. So this is pretty much a mirror of what we saw previously, but last time Smith moved in on his own. This time KNS is in tow.
Oh, these nades are doing... The last round as well, they did similar amounts of damage with their 2 HEs. This timing is so strong from MiBR on the HEs.
G2 with 2 more rounds achievable in this half, and boy, do they need them. Again, we have seen dominant CT halves from team after team after team, and that could be a saving grace for G2. So as bad as this looks, I mean, we saw a comeback from Winstrike earlier on. Let's see if G2 can do the same. First, they have 2 more rounds to collect. Smith will be left to lurk towards the B bomb site once more. I don't expect MiBR to go for the same plays they saw last time. An easy frag for Cold Zero. The bait set up with Tarek there as well. Very nice indeed.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like they can do much here. Going for an individual play is Shox, but there is just too many players left. And the 4 players dedicated to that A site creates issues. Fallen is alone, though, towards B. Maybe there's a chance here. Kenny does have a smoke, so if they get the kill, they can isolate the bomb site and play after plant. But have they even spotted Fallen? Fallen is just buying so much time by not revealing his position. Oh, he misses a shot, but still, Kenny has pressure to go for that plant because of the time. And Smith, oh my goodness, how on earth does he get both kills? That is not supposed to happen. That encapsulates this game fairly well, though.
Yeah, the G2 are just getting shocked every round, it seems. MiBR very well prepared. Loads of base setups around the map. They are supporting each other very, very well. One person gets an initial engagement. Other people try and trade, focusing on that player. But hey-ho, there's another guy in support at a completely different angle, completely off angle that you're not even going to pre-fire probably, hiding behind a crate in the middle of Arch, for example. It's just not ideal. Not ideal for G2. MiBR making it life very hard for them on this T side of the French-speaking team.
One thing that's really interesting, actually, if we go back to those HE timings, they've been so perfect, and I think MiBR have known it, that actually conditions your opponent to be more passive there. But I have to hold that thought because speaking of being passive, Shox is being super aggressive here, and they've had enough G2, it seems.
Yeah, I think Kenny may be looking for info in the CT area, see if anybody's rotating, try and play off some more information. And now MiBR are in a horrible position. Ooh. That's a massive frag from Shox, and again, he is obviously one to watch, especially when he's not in-game leading. Now Tarek is alone. The spray transfer won't be enough on this occasion. Weapon collected by Existence. 4 versus 2. It's the last round. They've got to go for it, and Smith is still on the flank.
Fallen is still alive, though. Stewie will get an additional kill. Oh my goodness, that was so close. Fallen chasing for the finishing blows with that pistol. Knows he needs to keep the momentum high, but it's unfortunately going to be stopped dead with Body's headshot, and Stewie not really looking too good here. That forward smoke might buy him some space here to just go for it. And again, it's the last round. Why not give it a go? Stewie looking for something flashy here. Spots ahead. Going to connect, though. It's Body that finishes it off. And that's 1 round at the end for G2 and an otherwise incredibly dominating half for Made in Brazil.
Yeah, they just, I think MiBR outmaneuvered them, and I think that's a good way to describe it because they just had better positions. It's the Ts which are supposed to be in the trade frags and abuse the numbers, but I feel like the CTs abused their numbers against the Ts when the Ts were pushing, which is difficult to do.
Yeah, I think it's so much of it comes down to how G2 played Banana. They had a lot of pressure on it, and one of the points I wanted to make the last round before a really aggressive play came in from G2 was the fact that MiBR had these consistent grenade timings down Banana, and that allows you to condition your opponents to play it slower, which means that you can take more map control as the CTs and create severe problems. But now we move into the second half, and G2, if the comeback is to be had, James, they must win this pistol.
MiBR moving through the apartments. KNS in the pit, Shox top mid. Body and Smith's deep on the B bomb site, and Existence is holding a flash for them should a B push come in. Playing off the sound cues, as you can see on the radar. No one actually looking down Banana to see if anything's coming in. So we're essentially looking at a 5 versus 2, although Existence is making a rotation now towards the A site. There's a flash for a balcony burst. Is KNS going to be ready for this?
It's a good question. He is completely blind and now in the open and exposed. And now silenced as Stewie and Fallen. Open things up nicely here for MiBR. The bomb will go down and... Wow, G2. What are they up to here? They've got a kid on Existence. Flash as well. Looks like they want to save that. Very hopeless situation. 3v5 after plant on A. Not happening. G2 shut down with a very fast A play.
I respect the decision. It's pretty much suicidal at this point. So let's see what else they can do in the next round with what they saved, which is mostly Kevlar. It's not even pistols, really. Well, it's literally Kevlar, a flash and a diffuse kit. But such is the nature of the beast. MiBR are imposing their will at the moment, and you've got to do what you can do.
I like how Tarek stayed just in case with the bomb.
I guess if your Kevlar is being touched at all and you're winning the pistol rounds, and you have a stock pistol and nothing to save, then it doesn't really matter. You're spending $1,000 on armor regardless. 10-round lead for MiBR, winning the pistol on both halves. And we have some pistols bought with that Kevlar, and the rest of the team will have some pistols as well. Existence has picked up a diffuse kit, which may be important as things continue. We've got 3 smoke grenades for the CT side. Let's see how slow MiBR take it. I would expect to see some influence from Yanko in a round such as this, especially on Inferno, where teams like Astralis have made smoke grenades notorious.
Yeah, just trying to be that picture of consistency relies upon having good drills and routines in theory in rounds like such as this, where you have an overwhelming advantage. But that said, Inferno is notorious for CTs having success due to all the choke points you have to clear, and we can see the crossfire setup. If there's a well-timed flashbang, those CZs can be absolutely brutal. But MiBR, oh, the flash comes in, and it's the CTs to take initiative, but MiBR looking to try to defend, but they will lose Cold and Stewie. This is working out for G2.
Smiths with the 5-7. He's got so many kills through smokes in this tournament so far. And there's another one from Smith. He's got a 3K. He's looking for an eco-ace. Is that what he is proposing? Smith has got $2,000 in the bank. So I don't even know if you could call this a force buy. It's an eco-ace he's on for, but he's fallen off the balcony. That's a huge problem because if there's a peek, oh, Kenny S through the wall, okay. Fur knows he had somebody fall, and maybe what cost Smith his life. 2 kills for Fur, but a lot to potentially pick up for G2. However, they're not really in position to do it, so money will have to be spent. So yeah, with the 5-7, you've got good range for a one-shot still. But if you fall off the balcony, that changes things.
Yeah, and this kind of stuff just happens. You know, G2 picked a really good timing, and it's impossible to know 100% how good your timing is going to be when you take the initiative like that. So I don't think MiBR are going to be really worrying about that. They can shake it off really easily, and they have stocked up on utility. They are force buying right back at G2 here, and I am looking forward to seeing how they want to play this one. Doesn't look like we will see a balcony burst, I don't think. That is a common way to play this kind of a round. They can take top mid and go for a set piece.
The damage. Tarek he's the only person with no Kevlar, and he walks into a grenade. But the Bolts-esque smoke grenade off of the balcony now. Shock's trying to body block, but there's a smoke in the apartments as well. There's plenty of sound cues for the CTs. The T's trying to use the numbers here, trying to spread all over the place. Still stuck in the balcony for the moment. If he jumps off the balcony, he might even die, I don't know. Shock's in the pit, the bomb's being planted, and there are 2 players towards the arch area. Now Tarek gets taken out. There are big problems here for G2.
Oh my god, I think that sound cue really gave him up there, but I did not expect Tarek to hit that. That's phenomenal. What are G2 going to do here? There is... Oh my goodness, it's so scary to go in. Oh, he fakes the... Was that a fake flash? I'm not even sure, but it won't work. Doesn't matter at this point. Fallen gets the headshot. Existence with an MP9. Surely not. Body pushing in with him, and they are making the headshots happen. 2 versus 2 now as they try to make this retake a reality, but Fallen comes in again. Another CZ headshot from him, and MiBR will steal it away with the force buy.
MiBR, Justin Bieber.
I actually really like what MiBR did there, because I think that the balcony burst with nades is actually quite expected, and you can see that G2, they played really far back, because I think, you know, one of the ways you get exploited if you do a balcony burst is by having your players too far towards top mid and not on the actual site. And so MiBR had a free top mid, executed in, isolated the players, and the pistols did their work. Smart stuff from MiBR.
The only damage Tarek took in that round was from the HE grenade, which, funnily enough, if someone has no Kevlar, they are susceptible to 101 damage from a grenade if it hits them first and then goes off. So imagine if he had been taken out immediately. He's got a 2-man set up from G2 in this round. But Cold Zero's there to trade. Kenny says hello, spots a player on the balcony, knows that somebody's downstairs as well, and gets around the corner. Still had some bullets, 8 bullets, so he could have fought some more. But MiBR will have to figure out how to deal with this early disadvantageous situation. 3 versus 4 with plenty of time on the clock.
Yeah, the battle of the 4 spies, it's always a lot of fun, but I mean, for G2, it can't be a reality. They just don't have the rounds to do that sort of business. Smith goes forwards, gets caught by Fallen. Fallen is absolutely on one right now. Fallen is 17 for 3. That's not bad, not bad. Obviously, they had a really dominant first half, but good to see Fallen topping the scoreboards. Once again, he's joined with Tarek in that sense. Tarek on 18. Kenny's lurking around with his CZ, very dangerous. This round is very winnable here for G2. Kenny picks up a Galil as well to make it a bit easier, but Fallen denies him as well. Body alone against 3. Looking to see what he can find, but now at this point, plenty of time has gone to these Ts to take these after plant positions. Too many places to look, and match point for MiBR. This is looking very good, James, for MiBR. They are so strong right now.
Yes, it's looking very clear-cut. Plenty of data for G2 to reflect on, perhaps, if they are to lose this match, which looks very likely.
Too much data, James.
All too much data.
Too much data.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, dominant CT sides, and who knows if G2 would be able to have one if they are able to string some rounds together. Obviously, playing against match point may reduce the risk you might otherwise take in some rounds. So even if they do string some rounds together, we might not see all that is possible in this game. But yeah, the analyst test will be very interesting indeed for having a look. Basically doing the same peak that Kenny did with an AWP, which still blows my mind. Fer just doing Fer things. Looking for a trade fragger, spots him, some spray. Shocks of 30 HP, gets 1 tag, and now Fer will finish him off. Won't need Tarek coming through the balcony to trade if necessary. Nice reaction though from his teammate. Support, again, very important for MiBR. And now 2 players remain, Body and Existence, and now it's Body on the wrong side of the map versus 5 players with AKs and a Galil to keep G2 in this match.
Only the fish to keep him company. But he will abandon them in search of greater things. But unfortunately, Stewie will finish him off. And that was clean. Clean as you like. Definitely a very happy MiBR as they defeat G2. And they were just so many classes above G2 here. We saw, obviously, great individual skill, but I think we saw a very solid Inferno from a theory perspective and from a routine perspective. MiBR looks like a unit here. Very well oiled.
Yeah, the CT side was great. Again, the AWP support, just a general 2-man setups we saw from the CT side just broke round after round for G2. Put them in very strong situations early, which are really hard to recover from when you're in a 3 versus 5 situation. As you can see, Liquid looking on as all the handshakes are exchanged. So yeah, that was a very good game from MiBR, and I don't know what to make of that from G2's perspective.
Yeah, it's just, they just don't look prepared to deal with the likes of MiBR there. That was just a very high-level game of Counter-Strike, and I think that's something that we can expect MiBR to be bringing against some of the very best here in this major. I'm very excited to see that, because they just needed to get a couple wins under their belt, and this being a very dominant win, I think, James, is very important, because it's very different for them, because they're looking for confidence. It's different than having maybe like a 16-10. They absolutely just kicked G2 off the server. They
did indeed. And we spoke about comebacks this previous major. They've got 2 guys who may win 2 majors in a row on their team. Freya is with MiBR.
That's exactly right, James. I am joined by Tarek and Stewie from the winning side, MiBR. So congratulations on that win. I spoke to you yesterday, Tarek, after your win against Mouse. Was that the kind of confidence and momentum you needed coming into this game?
Yeah, I think winning against Mouse was really important for us, and we followed the same formula today. We made sure we had a game plan, and everyone was on the same page, and it was really beneficial for us to make sure before the game, everyone knew what was going to happen when we went in, and it was good, yeah.
So the map was Inferno, which was the same map you played against Tyloo, and you had that quite close loss on. What was different this time around?
I think we're playing our own game. We're not too worried about the opponents. We're just playing the situations. We're playing according to our game plan, and we're just playing our own game. We're not worried about other people. We're just more focused on ourselves.
Yeah, because you guys struggled a little bit on that T side against Tyloo. Was that something, I mean, we didn't get to see many rounds of that T side because you guys were just so dominant, but was that something you were kind of focusing on coming into this game and trying to improve on?
Yeah, I think we're making sure our T-sides are all organized and making sure people know what to do. There's a lot of times where we make individual mistakes against Tyloo and we're not on the same page, and that's what created gaps against these teams. And against Tyloo, you can't make those gaps, and when you make those gaps, that's how they capitalize, and that's how they won the game.
So Tarek, you had an incredible performance, again, repeat of yesterday. What allows you to just dominate on the server?
I mean, I think everyone is just starting to get comfortable. I think everyone on our team is really good, skilled. So anyone can have that game where they just go off, and it's gonna happen back and forth. Stewie's gonna go off next game probably. The next game after that is gonna be Fur, and then it's gonna be Fallen, and then it's gonna be me, and then Cold. Everyone has that ability, so it's really nice.
Now, I spoke to Tarek about this yesterday, but you two are the two newest additions to MiBR. How do you feel you've integrated into the team, Stu?
I feel at home right now. I feel like I know the guys a lot more. I'm closer to them outside the game and inside the game. We can speak to each other easily, and we're pretty easygoing, and we get along pretty well.
Now, Fallen actually yesterday mentioned that Yanko has brought a bit more discipline to the team. How do you feel that's allowed you to develop as a player?
I think it opens my game a lot more, makes me feel a lot more comfortable. My teammates know what I like to do, what I don't like to do, and they put me into areas where I can excel at. And with Yanko, he creates a structure for the practices, and he makes sure we're doing things right, we're on time. If not, we'd be punished and stuff like that.
Cool, so going into tomorrow, you are now 2-1. You've got to get one more win to make it to Wembley. How are you feeling, Tarek?
I think we're super confident. It doesn't matter who we're going to play. I think no matter what, we're going to get that win, and we're going to be 3-1, and we're going to make it to the next stage.
Cool. I love that. Confident words. Thank you very much for your time, guys, and congratulations again on that win. Alex, back over to you at the desk.
The French Samurai G2 outclassed, outgunned, outplayed. It was all MiBR here on Inferno, and a quick 20 rounds of play sees MiBR find their second win. To break it down, we have Sponge and Threat, and my goodness, guys, I mean, is this one of those hard games to analyze because you just have to say MiBR were better?
I think that's the theme of this, but I guess we juxtapose this and looking at G2 and their strengths and their maps, and this is meant to be one of them, right? This is one where you can actually have cool gimmicky strategies where you're doing different executes and different timings. We didn't see any of that. I guess, out of the 4 rounds they won, one of which was a 2v1 from Kenny S with the AWP, which I'm pretty sure he only had about 3 times in that entire first half. And that was one of the things I thought would change within this roster. They'd really prioritized getting that into his hands. They had a couple of questionable force buys coming into that first half. But sitting down here and listening to MiBR again, they just sounded so smooth. They're always flashing for each other, always talking to each other, and that's a sign of a championship squad.
Yeah, looking to do damage.
And if we're talking about the G2 squad, I want to look at Existence, actually. He had quite a poor individual performance here. Not that any of his teammates had a good performance either. But at the same time, if you look, when they changed the lineup to Existence and Smiths, a lot of people thought, okay, the win condition of this team is great strategic play, good mid-round calls, good tactics. And we're not seeing any of that, right?
So you don't feel like you're getting enough from that Existence change currently?
No, they really need to make a drastic change in this team to be able to make anything happen at this level.
So can you give me examples of what you'd like to be seeing and what you're not seeing? I mean, this is what I want, I'm sure the people at home are intrigued about.
Well, sometimes they took banana control, they went out towards mid like a regular default, but it didn't seem like they had any good follow-ups.
Any goes?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's like, oh, we have to be a bit scrappy. What grenades do we have left? They didn't have any proper executes. Sometimes when SK played really defensive on B, something I talked about earlier, they should have had a proper execute to punish that. Might have been quite difficult since I almost said SK MiBR.
It's tough.
We all do it.
We all do it.
Went super aggressive banana sometimes, but still they should have been more prepared.
Here's the situation from my perspective. People romanticize Existence. I've never got on board this G2 hype train at all. Now the reason for that, during Source, the teams that very games were being led with Existence all the strategies you could do were spawn-based. You were calling a strat out of spawn and you would execute perfectly. That's something that was a strength of Existence's teams. Then we had the transition from Source to CSGO. It was much more of a fast-paced game in the beginning, and he was able to transition some of that across. The problem is, CSGO in my mind right now is so much more like a chessboard. It's not about just shoving all in and hoping you win. It's about taking map control, calling out utility, and playing the mid-rounds. It's really the mid-rounds is the meat of the CSGO sandwich now. It's not so much about just going all in straight away and running with it. And I think Existence, he's never really learned how to be a mid-round in-game leader.
And he has been kind of trying to break through to the meat and potatoes of Counter-Strike Global Offensive because, you know, LDLC project, he kind of experimented with that. He couldn't do with those tools, and now he's been given the sharpest tools in the shed for his region, and we're just waiting to see what G2 shows up here in London.
I'm hearing murmurs that the other French team that's been put together is actually better in practice. So maybe there's like hope for the French scene.
I think the French scene has the same problem as the Swedish scene right now. There's no really good IGLs.
It's a nightmare.
I mean, there are some decent IGLs, but if they're decent, they're not good individually.
Yeah, and of course, to be a good IGL, you need a big brain, and to get a big brain in your head, you need a head to head. That's what you've got. There you go. That's a segue and a half. It's Shox and coldzera. We brought them up because they are two legendary names. Sure, coldzera much more recently and in the forefront of your mind when you talk about those stars of Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And Shox still yet to really get the ball rolling. Sure, top of the scoreboard, but at the moment, it does seem like he's a victim of his situation more so than anything else.
It's a hollow victory, right? Getting in the top 11 kills compared to your teammates only having 7 and getting beaten 16-4. It doesn't really matter how many kills you had in a game like that. But coldzera, things that people may not note, obviously they watch him and he wins these clutch rounds. He gets these really cool highlights. But little details, if you ever go back and watch his POVs, especially in this current iteration, he's constantly flashing for teammates to set them up, and that's something that you need to look at and you need to highlight.
I have a stat to back it up.
Oh, here we go.
He's leading in flash assists for his team dramatically. He had 6 flash assists. Now, bearing in mind, sometimes you flash someone and they will take cover, but 6 times he flashed them and his teammates or himself killed that person while flashed. So I mean there's the stats to back it up. In fact, he's leading by quite a headway. Everyone else is rocking 1. You know, Fur, Tarek, Fallen, everyone's got 1, but Cold is just chucking them.
That's the awesome thing about coldzera. I think he's the only one that's been ranked #1 in the world. That's also sort of like a second IGL.
Yeah.
And also he's a really good support player. So I think it was some overtime where he actually was the strat caller as well.
Yeah, no, there was that weird period of time where he actually had to take over the in-game leadership role to give Fallen a bit of a break. But when Freya asked the question to Tarek just before as well about, oh, you know, you had another good game, I think something interesting to note or for people to look at home is in certain games of Counter-Strike, especially on the CT side, you don't get to control where the terrorists are coming from. So you're only going to be able to make the frags that come your way. So when we do have these games where it's a 16-4 and you're stat padding, sure, Tarek may have had a good game here, but if they went B a little bit more, maybe Stewie and Fallen could have had more kills. That's just something that people need to keep in mind when they're looking at the numbers.
And something else for you guys to keep in mind at home is there's more Counter-Strike to come. If you enjoyed that one, you can't believe what you're about to see next. We have none other than Astralis Team Liquid with one team locked in for the top 8. That is what's coming up next. A best-of-1, no-holds-barred brawl between Astralis and Team Liquid. And we've got FaZe Mouse after that. It's all coming up after the break as we see number 1 and number 3 in the world duke it out for a spot in the top 8.